What's going on, everyone? So today we're going to be talking about 5 ways you can improve your public speaking when you have anxiety. So keep watching. So if you've followed my journey over the last few YouTube videos, you probably understood my kind of anxiety that I went through and how I struggled to speak out during events, speak out in front of groups of people, and public speaking events were a no-go. I would have never done it. I would have never really looked into trying to do it. It was just something I avoided completely. And I guess a moment came when I was tired of feeling anxious all the time, tired of stumbling, tired of stuttering when I was in a kind of a group situation and I couldn't speak out. And so I started to look out for help, seek help. And if you wanted to find out more about that, check out my public speaking video. The link is below. But essentially, over time I found there were several different things that really helped me to manage my anxiety and manage the way I spoke when I was nervous. And although during the times when I was nervous and I was speaking in crowds, although I felt nervous, when I looked back at the videos of me speaking in those crowds, what I found was actually I managed it quite well. I managed to speak clearly, I managed to handle myself better, and I really managed to look confident and appear confident even if I wasn't. So I'm going to go through the 5 tools, and like I said, it's going to take practice. You can try it once, but it doesn't mean it's going to work straight away. Keep practicing, keep going, put yourself out there and go to public speaking events. There's loads of meetup groups, maybe not now due to lockdown, but maybe there's online groups you can go to and really just speak, practice, and with time it does get better. I promise it does get better, but the more you practice, the better. And with that, let's talk about the first tool. The first exercise we're going to be talking about is deep diaphragmatic breathing. Now, if you've never done this before, it might be really difficult and it does take time, it does take practice, but it's really useful to really manage that anxiety, really manage that fast breathing, fast tonality, fast speaking pace that you normally have with anxiety, and it really helps you to generally just help you to relax and cool down. So the idea is simple. Take a deep breath in, but as you're doing it, rather than breathing from your chest, often people breathe in and they have the chest expand. I want you to focus on really expanding your stomach. So as you're taking a deep breath in, breathe in and really expand your stomach. And really see your diaphragm inflating. And it feels really counterintuitive because normally when we breathe in, we tend to suck our tummies in. But I want you to do the opposite. Really expand your stomach as you're breathing in. If you find that hard, then take a deep breath in, then expand your stomach, then breathe out slowly. So keep practicing this, and if you're finding this difficult, a really useful thing you can do is lying down on the ground and placing a weight on your stomach and practicing the same breathing. And over time, it's almost like building a muscle. It will get easier, and during those times when you're feeling really anxious, doing this type of breathing will really help you stay calm and relaxed, especially before the event, and also if you can manage to get in a couple of breaths during the actual speech, and I'll be talking about that next. Number 2 is basically following on from that deep breathing exercise, but essentially when you're speaking and you feel like you're speaking too fast, when you feel like you're about to stutter, pause and take a deep breath down. Deep breath in, not down, in. The idea of this is often when we're speaking and we're going into our heads, especially when we're anxious, we tend to just start stuttering, start just speaking as much gibberish as we can. So the idea is to slow down and really relax, and having pauses like that really help you to slow down and catch your breath. Now, when you first do this, and especially me when I first did this, I found it really awkward. I'm the type of person to just try and get everything out straight away. So taking these deep breaths might feel awkward and you might think that people are looking at you weirdly, but actually it's literally 1 or 2 seconds and people won't notice. So if you're struggling with anxiety and you have to go and public speak and you're forced to be out there and you can feel your body getting nervous, you can feel yourself sweating, speaking faster, just take a moment. Take a deep breath in and then carry on. It will allow you to ground yourself, it will allow you to think clearly and get your words out slowly and not just fast. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is essentially when you're nervous, look into the audience and find someone who might be looking happy, who might have a pleasant face, who makes you feel relaxed, and look at that person. Now I know this sounds counterintuitive because often when you're speaking people tell you to look at everyone, make eye contact with everyone, but when you're feeling nervous and feeling anxious, this can be really hard. So often, perhaps finding someone in the audience who seems more relaxed, who seems quite nice, who gives a positive vibe towards you, have a look at them, speak to them, then when you're ready, look away and look at some other people. And what this does is it gives you that confirmation that you're doing well. It gives you that confirmation that you don't need to be anxious because there's someone in the audience who is smiling at you or is happy for you and isn't going to attack you. Because often when you're public speaking and you're nervous, you can easily go into that mindset of people are going to laugh at you, people are going to point out your flaws. So finding that one person or maybe a couple of people if you're lucky who have that kind of positive expression on their face will help you to stay relaxed and will help you to manage the anxiety and help you to ground yourself. So that's tip number 3. So tip number 4, when you're starting public speaking and you suffer that anxiety attack, and especially when you're going out there to try and improve it and you suffer it again, you're going to feel demotivated. But trust me, it's going to happen, and the more you practice, the better you will become. And this is tip number 4, practice. You've got to get out there and practice. Practice watching yourself, record yourself, practice listening to yourself and looking at your body language, and practice just seeing how you can improve yourself. What I used to do is record myself, then look at myself and be like, I'm terrible, I don't want to hear it, my voice sounds terrible, and I just put it away. But the more I plucked up the courage to look at the videos and be like, okay, I can improve on that, that's not bad, that's pretty good. I probably could have paused there, maybe took a deep breath there. And the more I analysed it and looked at the ways I could have improved myself, the more I found ways to get better, and the more I did get better. So that's tip number 4, practice. It sounds hard, but at the same time it's also common sense. You know it, I know it, we all know it. You've got to practice. And although I wish there was a instant way you can just find that cure where you have no anxiety, I'm afraid if you suffered from anxiety so far, it's going to take practice. But the good thing is, as you keep practicing, as you see those improvements, trust me, you'll get so motivated. You'll be like, oh, I can do this easy. And you just keep going and going and going. But the problem is when you become so self-critical, or when you don't really review yourself or self-reflect, and you're like constantly picking up the bad things about yourself, that's where it goes wrong, because then you feel demotivated and you just don't practice. So when it comes to practicing, look at the positives. For example, just standing up and speaking in a crowd of 4 people, that's a big thing if you've never done it before. A big thing. So that's a positive. And then look at ways you could improve. Perhaps you could speak slowly. Perhaps you could take a deep breath. Perhaps you could have made more eye contact. Whatever it is. And then next time you go and practice again, try and use those things that you want to improve on and bring it into the next session. But when you're doing this, I would advise you to focus on 1 or 2 things each session, because if you focus on everything, again, you might trigger that anxiety to get worse, and you might go in your head and you might start panicking more. So focus in 1 or 2 things, and each session implement that 1 or 2 thing you want to focus on and get better that way. That's tip number 3. And that's tip number 4. And following on to that, it's tip number 5, which is essentially the idea of visualizing yourself delivering good speeches. And the idea of doing this is because you want to see the type of person you want to become. It's easy to think of things that are going wrong, how you're making mistakes. So you want to focus on things that are going well. Now this you probably can't do in the actual public speaking event or when you're making a talk, but you can do this prior and after. Just visualize yourself speaking clearly, speaking with confidence, speaking with pride, and executing well. The more you can visualize yourself doing this, the easier it will become to execute on the spot. But when you don't visualize yourself, it's easy to come up with the flaws and not see yourself as that public speaker. Because we all have it in ourselves, we all have that talent. We just need to practice and bring it out. And the more you do it, the better you'll become. That's tip number 5. Get out there, visualize yourself being a public speaker, being able to manage your anxiety, and getting on with it. So those are my 5 tips and tools and exercises for when you have the anxiety and you're trying to manage it, especially during public speaking. And I wanted to highlight also before I finish is, as you practice, you can manage the anxiety better, but it might always be there. But the amazing thing about when you practice and you start getting better, you start to realize that although it's there, it doesn't have to control you. And that's the amazing thing about just practicing and getting yourself out there, because the more you do it, the more you start to realize is that anxiety will always be there, but the extent of how much it controls you will reduce and reduce and reduce the more you practice. So if you have any questions, drop them down below as usual. If you want any topics covered, perhaps drop them down below as well. Just make a comment down and subscribe. See you in the next video. Just one more thing before we finish. I've now got 5 spaces available for my coaching program. It's a 3-month program working on confidence, working on helping overcome your limiting beliefs, empowering yourself so you speak up more, you're able to be seen on camera and be more visible in daily life, and help understand why you may be feeling stuck in life, understand how and why you're not moving forward, and understand your core values. A lot of content in this 3-month program. If you're interested or know anyone who's interested, drop me a message or check out my website and see how you can apply. So check that out, and I'll see you in the next video.